Lundaby Soccer Podcast. And we are going to talk about game week number 3 with a quick recap of game week number 2, where Liverpool played Newcastle and won 3-2. They got their final goal in the 90th minute plus 10 in added time.
Yeah.
Which was a little controversial because they had 11 minutes added on to the end of the game. They got their goal.
Yeah, they got their goal. They're very fortunate, considering that Newcastle had a red card in the 45th minute of the first half, extra time in the 45th minute of the first half. Gordon got red carded for a stupid challenge, a classic striker's tackle. Got straight red.
Really bad. Really egregiously bad tackle.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Yeah.
But then Newcastle just fought back. They were like, oh, you want Itzhak? Well, we want to take the league title from you. We want to dethrone you even if we don't win it, which I can appreciate that. I can appreciate the fight. I loved how they fought back. They got those 2 goals. They really put Liverpool on their heels. Liverpool honestly did not play well throughout the entire game. Not to the standard of last season, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So, great show by Newcastle. However, unfortunate kind of, but, it's like, you have 11 players. One of your players decides to act out and do a stupid, unnecessary striker challenge. That's
a tackle.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, I heard someone complaining about it. They thought the refs were unfair and it wasn't a red card. So I went and looked at the tackle and I reviewed it in slow motion. And in it, you can see, is it Gordon?
Yeah.
You can see his foot come and hit the top of the player's leg.
Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah, towards
the
top of his sock, the soccer sock up by the knee. And his cleats he pulls his socks down to his ankle. So it's very clearly cleats up into the knee and all the way down the leg.
Yeah,
like the
horrible
most
challenge.
Explicit red card of all time.
Profoundly stupid.
Yeah.
And very unfortunate.
A youthful player,
yeah.
Full of energy.
Yeah, trying to prove
got
something.
Out of the hand.
Yeah, trying to prove something. Trying to show why he deserves to be in that spot. And and that's what you got. And then Liverpool ended up pulling out with the W, but they played horribly against a 10-man team for 45 minutes. So, all things considered, they should have blown them out if they were at the same level they were last season.
Right.
But they weren't. But, they're still good, and they've got talent everywhere, and so they pulled out the W.
Brought in Chiesa, I think, for the final goal.
No, it wasn't Chiesa. It was that 16-year-old kid.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you remember Szoboszlai did that dummy?
Yeah.
Beautiful, by the way. Beautiful play. Szoboszlai, incredible. What a guy. Man of the match performance. Regardless, Liverpool continue to bleed a lot of goals. So that was
a sign of hope for the rest of the league is that Liverpool can't get their defense together.
No, they cannot. I think that the defense is showing some of their frailties and age. But, they got the W. So, moving on.
That was last week. Let's move on to this week.
This weekend,
This weekend. Chelsea versus Fulham. Was that the first game of the weekend again? Chelsea?
Yeah, Chelsea versus Fulham.
So,
Chelsea got extraordinarily lucky. I mean, whoa. Out of the gate, Fulham are just pressing us everywhere on the field. We cannot tie that many passes together. Not in the attacking third, we're useless. We're getting nowhere. They're putting all sorts of pressure on us. They win the ball. They get it up right around the center circle. And then Fulham, I think it was Muniz, gets the ball. And he does this little twist and turn thing, puts his plant foot down on, I think, Chalobah. On Chalobah's foot. He boxes Chalobah out, receives the ball, rolls it out, and then plants his foot right on Chalobah's foot, who it was just there. It wasn't purposeful. And they move forward. He passes it forward to King, who's this young kid. He's 18. He gets the ball. He basically jukes out our last defender and then just smashes it into the net. And
First goal of the game.
1-0,
Fulham's in the lead.
Yep. At home at Chelsea, at Stamford Bridge.
Right.
And then there's a VAR review. And the ref, who, by the way, had plain sight he was right there, looking, within 10 yards of where Muniz receives the ball and puts his plant foot down on Chalobah's foot, incidentally, after boxing him out. And so he sees everything, goes forward, they score the goal. Then the VAR people are, hey, he saw something, it looks like it could be a foul. So they phone in, and then he's like, okay, well, wait a minute, look at it, the rules of the game. And he goes, he's okay. Then he goes and he looks on the sidelines, watches the video, and he's like, okay. And then he comes out and he's like, there was a foul earlier in the play, so therefore no goal. Which, look, I love Chelsea. And when I was watching that game, I was like, yeah! I mean, I was pumping like we'd scored a goal. I mean, I was so excited. I was like, yes! Yes! But at the end of the day, that was it was a masterclass counterattack move. There was no foul. That was not a foul.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes, there was no foul.
That was
Correct.
a sign of how the English Premier League does not understand instant replay, and really it's too much power, and they shouldn't be using it. VAR needs to go away. They should go back to the old system. They should, because if you're going to do things like that, which I have seen a lot of, they're just making the wrong calls. People are getting too tense in the moment. There's too much pressure from the players. They go to the sidelines. Oh, the fans. It's too much. No more instant replay. Right. There's too much going on. Just go back to the refs on the field, the line refs. They make the call. It is what it is. If the ref on the field wants to overrule the line ref, that's fine. Outside of that, that's it. No more VAR. No more VAR. I'm okay with the goal line technology where they can tell if the ball went over the line. That's fine. Everything else, out. No more VAR. No more VAR. It's just not working. They're not judging every single situation correctly.
In your recap of the sequence of events that happened, where the ref, made the call and then questioned it, and they let the play go, and this goal was scored, and then the VAR came in, and the ref goes to the sideline, and he reviews the play, all of that. There's one thing that you forgot to mention, and I'm pretty positive this happened. Enzo Maresca, or maybe Todd Bowley, came down to the sideline and handed the ref a giant bag of cash and said, make this go our way. It was such a bad call to be made. Now, it's not to say that the game wouldn't have been won by Chelsea in the end, but it was such a bad call. It was very shocking to me to watch the replay and then to hear the news that it somehow the call went towards Chelsea. Basically, this reminds me of a rule that they have in the NBA, which is when the defensive player plants his feet right? If the offensive player runs into him, the offensive player has fouled the defensive player, okay? And that would really help the Premier League if they took on a rule like this, because the Chelsea player didn't have his feet planted, okay? He moved his foot forward, and the Fulham player went to plant his foot, and kind of sneakily almost, the Chelsea player put his foot down just in the nick of time, and the Fulham player stepped on him. It's not a foul. It's just not a foul. The Fulham player had no idea that there was someone behind him. He had no idea that the foot was there. He was just turning with the ball, and very much so accidentally stepped on the Chelsea player's foot. And it was like in the center circle. It was so far away from goal. It had almost no effect on the play.
It was a bad call.
It was a very odd call. But anyways, Chelsea did go on to win the game.
Yeah. Second half, we dominated. We did much better, and we won the game. João Pedro with another excellent header off a corner kick, and then Enzo with a PK, well-deserved PK, where we tried to cross the ball in, and this guy was like put his arm out here, and I think that if they had gotten that goal, it could have changed the direction of the game.
Sure.
As far as like mental things go with our team.
Right.
Because Chelsea's a young team, and most of the players have not been in super duper high pressure situations where they're competing for titles. And so what often happens with those types of players, regardless of their talent, is that they don't necessarily have the mentality to fight back and overcome those mental obstacles. So they start to freak out. They start to grip the bat too tight, as we say in American baseball.
Right.
And then it causes us to malfunction. We saw a little bit of that with Crystal Palace, the opening weekend of the Premier League season.
Right.
We were just like, we gotta win. We're so good. We just come off the Club World Cup win. And then they're just like, and we were just jolty and just not connecting and got nowhere. 0-0.
Right.
However, outside of that situation, it was excellent to see that Chelsea shut out Fulham, who was a tricky team, and then scored 2 goals. 2 legit, really good goals. Right. So that was excellent.
On that note, I want to mention Fulham, I think, are a dark horse to get into Europe this season. So Fulham, they tied against Brighton. Okay,
good team.
Brighton are not bad. Brighton beat ManCity this week, which we'll talk a little bit more about. And Fulham also tied against ManU, who won their game this week. So Fulham, 2 ties against pretty decent teams, and then they took the loss this time. But do you want to talk about, should we go on to the ManCity game?
Yeah.
Let's
talk about it.
So ManCity, this is pretty exciting for me. I love seeing ManCity lose. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Seeing ManCity get back-to-back losses like this is like almost as good as a Chelsea blowout. It's so good. I love seeing it. It's just, and it's not because it's ManCity. I mean, I hate ManCity as a club, but I have a special, deep-rooted resentment towards Pep Guardiola that goes back over a decade.
Yeah.
And just the joy that fills my soul when I see him flounder and his team flounder and him make the wrong tactical choices and the wrong team selection choices and the wrong transfer choices almost gets me emotional. But I'm going to hold it together for the pod. I'm not going to go there. But this was awesome. Brighton, they just came at them with everything they had, and they were always gunning for a goal. And in the early stages, ManCity looked far more dangerous. Unfortunately for Erling Haaland, he fluffed a few chances. He was kind of a little wobbly. Then he gets the opening goal, and you're like, oh, great, here we go. But
again, it's going to happen
Brighton
again.
held their nerve defensively. They didn't let ManCity get in their head. And I think that that's part of the thing that's going on here is that the Premier League teams are once again figuring out what's going on, the tactical scheme, figuring out, okay, they are not impervious to our wiles. We can beat them. We're not going to beat them at their game. We're not going to outpossess them. We're not going to out-tiki-taka them, but we can beat them. If we play at an elite level with a lot of pace and a lot of intensity, we can definitely beat them. And Brighton showed that. That was just incredible to see. Just like Spuds. Spuds did a great job. Thomas Frank.
Right.
They just they beat them, and it wasn't they beat them at their own game. They just were like, this is what they do, and this is how we can beat them with what they do. And then they did it. And
fantastic.
Other teams have done that before with pep teams. But a lot of teams get so intimidated by the reputation and previous achievements that ManCity go up 1 goal and oh no, they're going to run a rush shot all over us, and then boom, it's over.
Right. They just collapse.
I don't think that's going to happen this season. ManCity, of course, are going to they're going to turn out a top 4 finish. They're not going to win the league.
No. Yeah. It's pretty clear they are struggling. This early in the season, with the players that they bought last summer and the players that they bought last January and the players that they bought this summer, they should be able to beat Brighton and Spurs, but they're not. So
they're not.
They're struggling.
I think that Pep got it off. There's a few guys that he's got on his team where they're just not a 1-for-1. Right. And I think it's important to mention they don't have a 1-for-1 for Kyle Walker.
Yep.
And they don't have a 1-for-1 for De Bruyne.
Right.
So, and those two guys are pivotal. Right. Kyle Walker, despite what people may say about him, critically speaking, his pace and his tenacity were unmatched. And he could make up for a multitude of defensive sins.
Yes.
So when they're slow, ball-playing center backs made a stupid pass that led to a midfielder being put under too much pressure and losing the ball, Kyle Walker could chase somebody down and win that ball back. And they don't have him anymore. And they don't have that pace anymore back there, and I think it's showing.
Right.
And then De Bruyne's clinical passing, and his goal scoring, for that matter, but his clinical passing, it's just not replaced. Mm-hmm. And this Reinders guy that they have, he's
good, he's fine, but
yeah,
he's not De Bruyne.
He's not De Bruyne. Not Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, that's a big difference. Yeah. And then Rodri coming off his injury is not the same as he used to be. Apparently in his interview he said after the game, well, I'm not Messi.
Oh, no way. Oh, no, we didn't know. Yeah, dude,
you're a defensive midfielder. Yeah. You won the Ballon d'Or once. Yeah. We're not sure if you deserved it, and you just tore your ACL. Horribly. So, you're not Messi.
Yeah, we know. We know you're not Messi.
Good
you
to
never
know.
were.
Thanks for letting us know about that, Rodri. Yeah. Move on. Take the bench.
Yeah. Yeah. Bye.
Okay.
Moving on.
So, how about ManU? ManU pulled off a win versus Burnley. Now, I want to talk about this game next because, as I mentioned before, Fulham were able to get a tie against ManU. So, just to emphasize that Fulham are a sneaky team. They've got some good results against some good teams. Ties, albeit, and an unworthy loss against Chelsea.
Not entirely unworthy, but
not entirely. Potentially, yeah, unfair. ManU, they beat Burnley. I think they did it in at the very end of the game. They
Yep.
got their win.
Yep. In extra time.
Yeah, and
Or added time, pardon me. Sorry, added time. Oh my.
not extra, added.
Yeah.
And they should have beat Burnley by a lot more. I mean, it's Burnley.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not like an all-time great team. All right, so why didn't ManU crush them? And can Amorim stick around for like another game or two, or is he? Does this buy him a chance for another week? Is he out of here? Or?
This buys him time. They should not have appointed him in the first place.
Sure.
They should have gone back to the game plan of getting a coach who's really experienced and potentially has the experience also of taking a team from mid-table to elite. They didn't do that. They took a guy from a lower league team who has achieved a lot, and then lower league is in a different country that isn't even remotely as competitive as the Premier League and Amorim. It worked out for Liverpool with Arne Slot, but it didn't work out for ManU before when they brought in Ten Hag or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, or Chelsea with Villas Boas and a bunch of other coaches. I mean, it's just not the way you do things when you're ManU and you have basically an unlimited amount of money. Go out there and get Allegri, get Conte, bring Mourinho back. I don't know, like get a guy that's got a team that's not great and brought them up to a higher level. And these guys have done a lot of amazing things. And those coaches, by the way, will tell you, hey, by the way, these aren't good enough players. Whereas if you bring in a young manager, they're going to be like, they're so motivated to impress, and they're so excited that they're like, I can work with this guy, and I can. No. You're Manchester United. You have much higher expectations. Bring in an elite coach. Amorim, so far, has not proven even remotely that he's on that level, and I would be fine with him proving me otherwise, but he's not. They'll be lucky to get into any European spots so far. But I mean, good on them for winning a game. Oh, congratulations. Bruno Fernandes is great. He's clutch and he's great. And, of course, he slotted the game-winning penalty. But they shouldn't have gone down. They shouldn't have, conceded 2 goals to Burnley. If you're Manchester United, you should have an expectation of always top 4 and always competing for the title. And they just haven't done that since Jose Mourinho, realistically.
Right.
So, whatever. I mean, this is where they're at. We'll see. Yeah. By the way, I just want to be clear, I like all the transfers they brought in. I think the guys they brought in are great.
Okay, that is a good point. They did buy really well, which makes me think that Amorim is a serious coach because he bought very well. I think he could have done better than Sesko. I think he could have used that money to buy other positions in the team, like maybe a defender and a midfielder.
Yeah, I don't see why Sesko's any better than Højlund.
Exactly. Højlund he's just fine.
Højlund's a big, strong, powerful, quick center forward, and Sesko is also that.
Right.
And I think that Højlund probably could do, as far as what Manchester United need, Højlund can do all that too. What they need is somebody that can come in and be in the center midfield, like a dominant, dynamic center midfielder.
Yes.
So, like Zubamendi, one of these types of guys who looks good and is pretty proven, that's the type of player they should have brought in. Mm-hmm. Instead, they've got Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro playing, like anchoring the midfield in basically defensive midfield positions. And Bruno Fernandes is 100% an attacking midfielder. That's his game. I mean, he can do anything. He's that good. But he is best utilized as an attacking midfielder and or like a winger forward. He has shown he can score a lot of goals. And he's not like, he doesn't have blistering pace necessarily, but he's quick enough where he could be a winger, he can be a false nine, he can do other things. And they've got him anchored next to Casemiro, who is just like tired, man. Casemiro is tired. He is just immobile. Great passer, great shooter, sees the field really well, cannot get everywhere. Just can't do it.
Right. Definitely not.
So
he's past his prime, at least.
Well past his prime.
Yeah. So here's the thing. ManU, their next 2 games are Manchester City, which is the big...
Brutal.
That's the big derby. And then they play Chelsea. Okay. Now, before we get into it, I said this before in the previous episode, and I say it again. I think Amorim has got his tactics down pretty well enough to where he will be very difficult for the big teams in England, right? He'll be difficult to play against. He was difficult against Arsenal. We barely beat him. He will be difficult against City and difficult against Chelsea. He could pull off points here. And now with that win against Burnley, he might get the opportunity to play these games and maybe get a point, maybe get 3 points. If he gets 3 points from either of these games, that's huge for him.
Yeah.
And that gives the whole team a lot of energy and so he could make it a little further into the season than what I expected.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I don't know. Do you think he could beat Man City? They're at a low, he's at a high.
Currently, with the way that Man City is playing, his team would still need to turn in an otherworldly performance. And he would need to adjust his tactics. He's very committed to a possession-centric attacking style, and he needs to get over that. I have said this for over a decade, even before Pep Guardiola got to the Premier League. There are just not that many teams and not that many players, or not that many coaches or players that can come in and do this tiki-taka, dominate the ball, attack or defend on the attacking third type of situation where they're like closing people down, not allowing them to get out of their own half, all that stuff where you're not allowing your defense to have very many situations where there's one-on-ones or where your defense is actually having to defend in the traditional sense. And that's just not a thing unless you've got a $1 billion budget. Or unless you walk into a team with Sergio Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta, Lionel Messi, Samuel Eto'o,
Henry,
David Villa,
Ronaldinho,
Ibrahimovic. Like, those are the types. That is what popularized that style of like total football, and that's just not a thing that very many people can pull off. And Amorim cannot pull that off and get into the top 4. If he has got to get pragmatic. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being pragmatic.
Absolutely.
It's a good thing. And sometimes, like you saw with Real Madrid, they did a much more pragmatic style with Carlo Ancelotti, and they won a lot of Champions League titles. And, in fact, all 5 of those Champions League titles that Ronaldo won while at Real Madrid were done pretty pragmatically. When they played against top teams, they understood what they could do and what they couldn't do, and they weren't committed to some certain style. They're like, let's adhere to the weaknesses of the opposing team. And then they won. And that's what you do if you can't just absolutely dominate. And there's about half of the Premier League table in which you're just not going to absolutely dominate possession and chances. You're just not. It's not going to happen. Maybe you could argue top 6, depending on the team, like Arsenal and ManCity and Liverpool probably. Top 6 teams, they don't necessarily have to, those teams have to play a bit more pragmatic, but the rest of the teams, they dominate. And then it just comes down to, luck for the opposing team, or they win because they're so good.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah. Amorim, if he's going to get a result against City, they're going to either have to all, become divine soccer beings, or he's going to have to adjust his tactics.
Yes. Yep. Play defense. Have Mbeumo as an outlet. Have Cunha as an outlet. Maybe have Sesko up there as an outlet to kind of hold the ball and get it out to Mbeumo, or be ready for when Mbeumo runs up the wing and he can cross it into Sesko. But he can't try to outpossess ManCity. That is a bad idea.
Bad idea.
Yeah. So on this note, ManU could have got a coach like Thomas Frank. They could have gotten a coach like Iraola, who I'm hearing very good things about. He's at Bournemouth, who beat Tottenham, which is for me, that's a pretty big result. So Bournemouth beating Tottenham. Frank just came in Tottenham. Iraola, though, has been a pretty solid coach with Bournemouth. They've been slowly working their way up the table, and they got the win against Tottenham. I think that's a pretty big win. 1-0. ManU missed out on a couple good managers there. They settled for Amorim.
Yeah. I think Frank would have been much better off at ManU. This is how things worked out. I don't think he was ready to leave, and that's why when things developed the way they did this summer, he went to Tottenham because the ManU position wasn't open. But I think if ManU had come calling, then he would have gone to ManU, and that would have been a better fit.
Definitely.
Because he would have brought in a more pragmatic style.
Definitely. Yeah.
It is what it is. Maybe he'll go there after Spuds crash and burn due to their lack of talent in the squad.
Right.
Which is what is going to hold them back. They're not going to be as good as people had thought. Everybody's always you're jumping the gun a little bit this early into the season. I get it, but look, if you're going to beat ManCity 2-0, and then you're going to go up against Bournemouth and lose 1-0. And by the way, Bournemouth had some good chances. Knocked the ball out the bar.
Very good team. Solid
Very good team. Very solid. So, but I think that ultimately, Spuds just suffers from a lack of depth. They've got some good players, but they don't have elite players, and they're not going to make They're not going to make Champions League for sure. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
It's top 5 now. Remember, it's top 5 teams go to the Champions League.
I know. I know.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to make top 5.
Okay, that's a bold take. Well, I think they make top 5, but we'll see what happens. This is not a great sign for them, but
it's not the worst. It's only 1-0, but
yeah, I think
it could have been worse for them though.
I think Bournemouth will be a little bit of a dark horse this season, a team that's going to be competing for the top 7, top 6. So
like Nottingham Forest last season.
Right.
I don't know about that, but we'll see.
They've got some good players. I think is it Lookman or at the team, and then with Iraola, he's a good coach. All right, what do you want to talk about next? Should we go on to the big game of the weekend? Oh yeah.
I wanted to quick mention Everton.
Okay.
Quick. We'll just go over this real quickly.
Absolutely.
They won 3-2. They played very well. They took the lead. They were, for most of the game, or for a good portion of the game, 3-1 up. Then they conceded later in the game, but ultimately pulled out with the win. What you saw from the goals, classic Moyes tactics, classic type of goal, scrappy, crosses into the box. Beto with a beautiful header within the 6-yard line, I believe. And then the third goal from Dewsbury Hall was incredible. Dewsbury Hall is a great player, and in my opinion, a bit of a luxury player. But he's got great hustle. It comes out of Chelsea. I think that was a great buy for them. And then, of course, they got Grealish. So I think that Everton are going to surprise people this season. I think they've got a us against them siege mentality thing going, which I think, they've been just scraping by, barely not getting relegated for a hot second now. And I think with Moyes back in there, this is the exact type of situation that he thrives in. Mm-hmm. And he's back at his old club, and they love him, and he loves them, and he was meant to be here. And I think they're going to do really well, and I think they're going to do Europe.
I would love to see that happen. Grealish, people forget Grealish was Aston Villa before ManCity. And he was a standout player for them. He would just absolutely dominate that wing, cut in. You can look up his highlights, his goals going to the far post. And so bringing him out of that really rigid ManCity system where you go to the end line and go to the sideline and try to do a low cross in, getting him out of that and letting him play his game, letting him enjoy just dribbling a defender and taking a shot and sending a assist in, pass is just going to really revolutionize his game and Everton's game. Yeah. And it could really be a difference in that.
It's going to be huge for them because they're also not going to require the same level of pressure that they required at ManCity, where Grealish couldn't just do his thing down that left wing. He also had a lot of defensive duties. There's a lot of you don't have the ball. Now you have pressure here, move over here, this zone, this, that. And now he's going to be able to do make an attack, get the ball, try and create something, catch a breather. He's not going to be called into this and that situation because the rest of the team is just going to fall way back on defense, and he's just not going to have as much pressure in offense or in defensive duties. I think he'll still have defensive duties. It's Everton. They have to defend. They like to put 10 men or all 11 people behind the ball if they can sometimes.
Right.
But he's not going to, moving forward, he doesn't have that pressure of we got to lock them down in their half. No, he doesn't have the ball at his feet. They lose the ball. He can just walk back, catch his breath, think about, okay, when I get the ball next, how can I work over the guy guarding me? So I think they're going to do well, and I think teams aren't going to expect it. I think people think he's washed up, and he's not at all washed up. He's just tired of the Pep system. He didn't fit in well. Yeah. And, it is what it is.
It is a very rigid system that Pep has there.
So, now let's go to the game of the weekend.
Okay, so
what do you think, Tom?
I don't know.
Arsenal, Liverpool. What do you think, Tom?
I want to delay this as long as possible. I want to talk about other games because I'm going to destroy whatever's in sight here. I might fight you right now.
Hold it together, brother.
This game was a complete disaster from Arsenal.
What do you got to say, Tom? How was it a disaster?
At the beginning of the game, we did exactly what I thought we should do. We came in with a very defensive approach. It was very smart. It was a good idea. Defend. You're at Anfield. It's the most difficult stadium that we're going to play in all year. Okay? Get a point. Defend, defend, defend. Start Martinelli. Have him defend. Okay? It's a very good game plan. And that was working. We were defending, and we had a point to win out of it. And we were going to stop Liverpool from getting a point out of the game. And we could have just kept that going. We could have waited. We could have held the tie and hoped to get a fluke goal. But as everybody would like to see, we brought on Eze and we brought on Odegaard. and we tried to play offense, and we decided we'll try to go for the win a little too early, kind of jump the gun. And then they got a free kick, which seemed like, okay, it's a free kick, it's 30 yards out, whatever it was. We're fine, and I don't know, maybe we should have started Kepa in the game instead of Raya in goal, because Raya was not able to stop the goal from coming in. And the defenders were not able to stop the players from winning a free kick. I don't even know who did it. I'm so angry and so furious about this game. I was kind of seeing red at the moment. It was blood red, everything. And Arsenal let Liverpool score a goal, which if you go down at Anfield, it's game over. You can try all you want, it's game over. The best you can get is 1 point. Well, that was the best we could get at the start of the game. So why didn't we just go for that at the start? Why didn't we just keep the same game plan? It was working just fine. I don't think Arteta is at fault necessarily. He made good decisions in who he subbed in. But we could have gotten a point. And that would have been much better than a loss.
Yes, you could have gotten a point. You had a lot of injuries. Saliba went out early in the game within the first 10 minutes of the game. No Saka. Odegaard's coming off an injury, so he can't start. Gyökeres is new. You're starting Madueke. Madueke looked great. There's a lot of positives to pull from the game. Liverpool are dangerous, especially at home. You guys held them for most of the game. The only goal they got was on a set piece. Beautiful set piece, by the way. Szoboszlai, just unbelievable, a worldly goal.
It was very lucky.
Incredible.
And terrible.
Total howitzer.
Awful shot, but he made it.
It is beautiful. There's no chance pretty much any goalkeeper was going to save that. That being said, I think Arsenal played a pretty good game, pretty tight. Liverpool were definitely getting some chances. Mo Salah was kept quiet, and he was trying some tricks. He was getting in the box. He was dribbling people, but he just couldn't get clear shots off. Raya had a great save on Wirtz, who is continuing to be a bust, and I believe that he will ultimately not turn good on the investment that Liverpool put in him. He'll stick around for a while, I think, but he's clearly not it. And I still think that Liverpool are getting favorable results, and they've had a tough opening schedule, too. However, I don't think Liverpool are going to hold this down. They're working off the momentum of last season and new signings, but I don't think their defense is going to hold this together. I think that they're haggard. I think Van Dijk is well past his prime. I think Arne is not as good as people think he is, and I think they are going to be top four, but I think they're not going to win the league. And I think people are very excited. I saw a headline on ESPN FC that, this is a statement win. And I don't know if it's a statement win. I mean, they churned out a W, and 1-0 wins are, key for winning the title. At the same time, it wasn't great. And if you're looking at the other results where they're conceding all these goals, I don't know. I don't think this is that great.
I hope you're right. I hope that this is a kind of a flash-in-the-pan fluke win from them. It is at home, so you should win your games at home if you want to win the league.
It's not a flash in the pan that I'm saying. I'm saying that they're going to get a lot of injuries, and the steam from last year's, incredible title run is going to run out. It's going to run out.
So.
And they haven't strengthened in the correct places. I do think if they got Itzhak, which I think they are still probably going to somehow pull off, if they get Itzhak, that's probably going to push them much closer to getting a title. But if they don't, then I think the steam will run out, especially with the pressure to perform now in the Champions League. It's not just about winning the league again. They need a Champions League title. That's what the owners want. The players want that. They're going to be pushing for that, and I don't know. And also, this is Mo Salah's probably his last season there. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
I think you're right in that this is not like, this is the team that's going to win the league because they beat Arsenal. I mean, obviously that doesn't make sense. It's the third game of the season. Liverpool have plenty of time to drop the ball. However, I heard yesterday, very good source, Liverpool put in an offer for Itzhak, and Newcastle accepted, which means that Alexander Itzhak is basically a Liverpool player.
Yeah.
So
I think that was inevitable.
It was pretty inevitable. I was hoping that they wouldn't be able to pull the money together or be willing to come to an agreement. It looks like they have. And then they beat Arsenal on the next day. And that puts them in a very good position.
Yeah, they're in pole position to win the title again.
On that note, Arsenal's next two games are, if I've got this right, it's going to be Nottingham Forest and, oh boy, I should have had this out before.
Get it together. Be prepared. No.
Get your stuff prepared. Yeah. We've got Nottingham Forest and I think Newcastle, or is it Chelsea and then Nottingham Forest?
No.
Anyways, Arsenal have a very difficult few games coming up. I believe, if I'm right, it's going to be Nottingham Forest, or Chelsea first, and then Nottingham Forest, and then Newcastle.
No, our next game is against Brentford.
Okay, so then maybe it's...
So...
I've got it all screwed up.
Yeah.
Arsenal have a very difficult schedule. You can look it up. My blood is boiling. I can't focus on what's going on right now with Arsenal. I'm very upset about this game.
Yeah, no.
I think that it's not the end of the world for Arsenal. Arsenal have plenty of season left to play. It's very common for a team not to be able to beat every team in the world. ManCity won the league. They lost 2 times against Liverpool in that season. That was a few years ago. And Arsenal can still pull it off.
Definitely.
We have the depth. I don't think Liverpool have the depth.
They don't.
Mainly in their midfield and their defense.
Yeah.
Arsenal do have the depth in their midfield and defense. So I think that Arsenal have the better team overall. But this was very upsetting.
Yeah. I get that. Fan. But if you're playing Szoboszlai as a right back,
that's a problem.
At some point,
yeah, it's a problem.
Things are going to come undone.
It's a problem until Szoboszlai gets a Szoboszlai free kick.
Incredible free kick. Incredible free kick.
Yeah, and then Arne Slot and Van Dijk get to celebrate all over their home field, winning against Arsenal.
Those guys are insufferable.
They are insufferable, and I want to see.
You guys do have a tough schedule, though. It's Nottingham Forest, ManCity, and then Newcastle.
That's it. Okay, Nottingham Forest, who are in England, they're in the Champions League now. I think they were top 5 last season.
No, they weren't. No, it was Newcastle, I thought.
Yeah, you can pull that up. They are a challenging team. I'll just say that.
Yeah, they're in Europe.
They're in Europe. Nottingham Forest, Manchester City, a big rival, and then who is the third team? Newcastle, who we regularly struggle against.
Yeah.
So Arsenal have a very
Everybody
difficult
struggles
schedule.
against Newcastle, but Newcastle are tough. Yeah, you guys got a tough schedule, but you guys got good depth. We'll see what happens. Chelsea have a relatively tough schedule as well. However, we're coming in. Brentford, I think we should roll over them. They've let a lot of players go and haven't adequately replaced them. Then it's Manchester United. I think that's going to be a tough game because it's a classic rival and it's just got all the history and everything else. And then it's Brighton, always a tough team. So we'll see. And then we've got a Champions League game. And then early October we'll play Liverpool. So in about a month we're going to play Liverpool.
Okay.
Not
too bad.
A little over a month. But
Okay.
I think, a lot can happen between now and then. There's a couple Champions League games in between that time. We are going to play Bayern Munich in the Champions League in mid-September. That's going to be fun. So, anyways, I think we've covered the things we need to cover, Tom.
We have, do you want to quick mention Leeds versus Newcastle 0-0?
Yeah, that's not good for Leeds. Or
not good for Newcastle. Leeds,
not good for Newcastle.
probably
Great for
good-
Leeds.
good
Great
for
for Leeds.
Leeds, yeah.
Yeah, they're just not coming into the league with a strong team. So getting a 0-0, not being a whipping boy of the top teams is great. Newcastle, floundering. And Eddie Howe's got to figure something out because Itzhak is gone. And I think he probably already knew that. They should have picked up Jackson, but Nico Jackson would have been a great option for them.
Yeah.
I think in a team like that, he probably could have bagged some goals. It looks like Chelsea is going to fight everybody off and keep Nico Jackson now that
Oh, no.
Delap has got a
No.
hammy.
Hold on. Nicholas Jackson is out. He is at
Bayern?
Yes.
Well, I heard something like that, and then I heard something after the Delap injury today that they were going to try and keep him.
Oh. Well, that would be, if they are able to keep him, that would be a shock because it is pretty well guaranteed that he is signing for Bayern Munich right now.
He's still a Chelsea player as of right now.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
yeah, it looks like Bayern pulled out of the deal is what I'm seeing from The Guardian. So
That's a shock move.
yeah, yesterday it was like done deal.
Right.
And then, or Thursday or Friday, it was like done deal.
Okay.
And then, yeah, so it's kind of back and forth. I have always felt we should have kept him. He's had just enough results to where I think he could come in and do really well. João Pedro seems to be filling the role of Palmer sufficiently as far as the goal scoring. I don't think he's nearly as creative, but he's moving around. He's able to get back and play a little defense. So, anyways.
How about Crystal Palace beat Aston Villa 3-0?
Yeah, Crystal Palace are good. They're really well coached, and it's a great organization. And they've bled a lot of great players, but they just seem to be like, whatever, shrug it off and keep going. So,
A little surprising that Aston Villa couldn't hold them off. I mean, Emery's been there for a while. They've got a good team at Aston Villa.
yeah, it's a solid squad, but, I think that Aston Villa is going to struggle this season.
All right.
Because everybody's bolstered so much about so many players and, so many good, proven players. We'll see, though.
All right. That is, I think, all we have for today. I can't express my anger towards this Arsenal game enough.
I feel your pain, Tom. I feel your pain.
Are you sure about that, Joe? Because I don't think you do.
I feel your pain, Tom. I do.